Hey guys, how are you? This is Jim here from the Pain PT, and today we're going to talk about how to be a fire extinguisher and not a flamethrower for your symptoms. And your symptoms and your pain and what you feel in your body is like a fire, and that gets produced by the limbic brain or amygdala in what we call mind-body syndrome or TMS or PPD, psychophysiologic disorder, chronic pain. So what we're trying to do here is put out these fires that are being generated by your brain in your body. And we're going to talk today about what we can do and how we can do this. So first of all, if we got a fire being generated in our body, and it may have started out from an acute injury or acute pain or a stressor, and all of a sudden that spark or that initial little fire in us never got extinguished as an acute thing, and it just went on, and maybe it started to grow in size to become what it currently is now, a chronic condition in you. Okay, so this is a chronic fire now that's been burning for a while. And what we know from the research I've been telling you guys is that the brain has been shown to be the one thing that predicts and causes pain or symptoms to become chronic from an acute nature. Okay, and studies show specifically with back pain that it does it at an 80 to 100% accuracy rate. So it's pretty strong science showing us that is the brain that makes people susceptible to having a chronic condition or their symptoms becoming more persistent and chronic in nature. So again, the fire is burning. It's produced by the brain, and we want to put it out. Okay, so by being a fire extinguisher, what can you do to help extinguish this fire that burns in you every day? Well, we're going to go over a couple ways. The first thing is your response. Okay, what's your response to the fire? Are you throwing gasoline or petrol on it, or water on it to try to put it out or quiet it down? So, messaging. What are you telling your brain? Are you again coming from a negative bent or a negative response to what you feel with this fire? Because if you are in any form or fashion, what you're doing is putting gasoline or petrol, for those of you guys in the other parts of the world, onto an existing fire, and you're blowing it up. Okay, you're magnifying it, not minimizing it. Now, if you were to do the opposite and become a fire extinguisher, what you would be doing is sending messages in to your brain that says, brain, I'm fine. It's okay. This is TMS. This is PPD. This is neural circuit disorder. There's nothing wrong here. There's nothing structural, nothing to be concerned about. I'm fine. Calm down, settle down, relax. Or more strongly, like Dr. Sarno said, you can tell your brain to take a hike, knock it off, stop it. I'm fine. So you're trying to get that message in as a fire extinguisher to dump water on this fire. Whatever you can do to dump water on it. So that comes from your belief, the foundation that this is not a structural condition. That's one of the biggest things you got to come from, is the idea that this is TMS, this is my body, this is PPD, this is the brain and nervous system signaling issue. And all we're trying to do is change the signaling in your brain and nervous system from, again, enhancing or inflaming the fire to starting to decrease it and put it out. So again, soothing, calming, settling messages, strong sort of command, authoritative messages to get some change in that limbic brain, to get it to quiet down or settle down your messaging, from the premise that it is a mind-body condition, not a physical one. What else can you do? Well, we know fear avoidance is a very real condition that creates more issues and problems for people. So we have to get more active physically. Got to practice that gradual exposure, graded exposure, to overcome the fear that causes us to avoid these things. Okay, so if you're avoiding things out of fear, you're flowing gasoline and petrol on your fire. You're just making this thing worse. People believe it helps them, makes it better, but actually you're making it worse. So to put water on this fire, you've got to overcome the fear and you got to get more active, which also helps you overcome the fear and overcome the symptoms. Okay, what else can you do to be a fire extinguisher? Well, you can start to look at your emotions, because we know in a certain percentage of people that emotional suppression, alexithymia, and additional stress, we don't tend to our emotions, tends to inflame, aggravate, create, or sustain these physical symptoms in us. So what are you doing with your emotions? We want to make sure that you're looking at them, acknowledging them, addressing them, labeling them, expressing them, thinking about them, not just suppressing, avoiding, distracting, not noticing, not paying attention to, or overreacting. So either extreme on emotions, either suppression / repression over here, not tending to our feelings at all, or overreaction, over emoting, freaking out, worrying, getting over exaggerated emotions. Both those things we know inflame or make conditions worse. Okay, so you're trying to work with your emotions so that you can also put water. Working with your emotions in a good way is going to start throwing water on the fire. Okay, so you got a couple strategies here. You got a mental strategy, talking to your brain. You got a physical strategy, get more active, because this is TMS. You've got to prove it to yourself, guys. You cannot back down. Otherwise, you're inflaming your own fires. And then emotionally, we're trying to get more in touch with those feelings from an emotional point of view and the stresses in our lives around the time our condition started, or when we're getting flare-ups or spikes. Okay, so at the end of the day, you not worrying or being concerned about your condition it's like rain falling on this fire every day. You just not being worried by it because you know what it is. It's going to go away. Okay, that's pouring water on this fire. I always tell people, think about when you go to a doctor, and I've heard this many, many times, and the doctor says to the patient, look, I don't see anything going on here. I don't see anything really happening. It's not a big deal what's happening in your body. This will resolve in a couple weeks. Don't worry about it. It's going to be all right. And then what happens? Patient goes home, feels calm, settled, relaxed, feels like everything's okay. And then what happens? Symptoms get better. All right. That is rain. That is water being poured on a potential fire. If the doctor says to the person, I'm not sure what's going on. I can't find anything wrong. It could be this, could be that. Maybe you need a surgery. It could be worse than it looks. X by Z. Keep the door open. Not send that sort of message in that says, let's put water on this thing. You're probably pouring some gasoline and petrol on the fire, or you definitely are. And then that's going to blow it up. That's a nocebo. It's very real. So all these patterns that you have, these negative patterns, are bits of gasoline and petrol that get dumped from your brain into your body that blow this thing up. All these other things you're learning here with me and from other teachers are about pouring water on the fire to put this thing out. Okay, let this thing burn out. Okay, so we're going to pour water on it. We're also going to try to just let it burn out. Not be worried by it. It'll just go away. Just like the doctor says, hey, it's going to go away. Don't worry about it. Might take a little bit of time, but carry on with your life. It's going to get better. And sure enough, that's what it does. But if your brain can't go there or stay there with that idea and be okay with that, you have the risk that you're blowing this thing up. All right, guys, be a fire extinguisher. Be a fire extinguisher, not a flamethrower. If you can, that's going to help you so much on your recovery. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.